Um, I go to church, so I study a few things. Yeah, I've had like one little kind of open street type of debate that I walked up on with a Trinitarian. So
Cool. All right, it
it was cool.
looks like we are live. So, Ashley, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time to have a conversation with me. Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Yeah, so I grew up in the church. Um, I grew up in the church. I am very close to my dad. He's the pastor at our church, Power of Healing and Deliverance Ministries in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm the pianist, but I also love to have, you know, um, conversations like these. And I've always had like a kind of a more analytical type of approach to it, rather than other people that I see around me.
Analytical.
Um, because I've gone through the position of feeling like, God, I don't know if you're real. Like I love you, but then I get frustrated. Like, how can I love something that I don't even know exists? And I was just kind of, I went to that place, and then kind of a light came on, if you will. That's the biggest confirmation for knowing if God is real or not. Through your own experience. So that's kind of what happened to me. And then I started looking into it because I didn't know how to like explain or anything like that. So then I ended up here. So
Awesome. So, I'm an atheist, by which I mean I believe that all of the things in the universe can be best explained by natural causes. Could you tell me some of the reasons you believe that there are for accepting the existence of a God?
well, the main reason obviously is because he has revealed himself to me, and that's the main thing. And obviously I feel that my strongest point that I feel would explain why God would make more sense is because I feel you get kind of to a point where there's just something unexplainable. And for one, it benefits me more to believe that a God exists. Um, and two, there's just a moral problem with not believing in some type of higher spiritual authority. And what was it? There was something else in my head. My bad. Yeah, when it comes to believing in God, there's a place where you have logic, and then, from my understanding, there has to be something outside of logic that caused all of this to exist. So that would be my main point of
Okay,
why I
so
believe in God.
the three things that I picked up on was you said there's an unknown problem, like there's questions we don't know the answer to. And I
Hmm.
agree, there's lots of questions we don't know the answer to, but I don't know why it would be indicative to say that because we don't know, then it must be God. Like there's this thing in philosophy called the UFO analogy. So if I say, "Oh, look, a UFO, an unidentified flying object," it must be aliens. Well, that's a contradiction because you're saying it's unidentified, and then you're saying you've identified it as aliens. So if there's something we don't know, like an unknown, to say that it must be God or indicates God would be to say that you know it, and so it wouldn't be an unknown anymore. So to me, it doesn't seem like the fact that there are unknowns indicate a God. It just means there's something we just don't know yet, and it could go either way, God or no God.
I would say to that point, the I would definitely agree and say that we shouldn't just assume that God takes the place of that. Um, but I would say, if we go back as far to the beginning of time as we can even think of, um, whatever traits you have in place in the beginning is going to be most reasonably is going to be whatever you want to call God. Some people have called it a computer, but then they, rob it of the traits of a computer, and it's all the traits of God. And it's like, it has to be God unless there's a better explanation. But obviously, assuming 100% that this is the answer, and dying on that hill, I think is what a lot of Christians do. And they keep themselves from being open-minded, because I just can't think of any other possible answer. But also, like I said, God has revealed himself to me. And that's the place where I feel like um, just a lot of atheists that I have talked to are not willing to go to, because of, oh, well, it's not logical. I have enough proof logically to show why I don't need to research that, because because I agree it is illogical to believe in a God. But the reason why it's illogical is because God, if I'm me and I made the Sims game, the Sims characters cannot do what I can do. So they might think it's impossible. It is logically impossible for that to happen in this game, unless I say it's possible. But the Sims cannot create a game, but the person outside of the game created them. So that's kind of where there has to be some type of illogical explanation as to how logic came to be. And I don't know if that's, coming across clear or not. I can try to reword it.
Yeah. So the first thing that comes to mind is logic, as I understand it. The laws of logic are like the law of identity, law of non-contradiction, law of the excluded middle. And so for something to be outside of logic, that means it wouldn't, it would have to like violate those three laws. And I don't understand how that could work. So let's say God existed. Could God exist and not exist at the same time?
No, he
So,
couldn't.
so that would mean that God obeys the first law of logic, the law of identity, or the law of non-contradiction, because the law of non-contradiction says a thing cannot be itself and not itself at the same time. So it seems like if anything did exist outside of logic, it still should have to obey the rules of logic, because it couldn't like exist and not exist. So it seems like logic itself has to describe whatever the fundamental nature of reality is. And I don't think there could be a thing that's like existing that couldn't be described by logic.
Okay, and that's just specifically contradiction, right?
It would be
Dealing
for
with
all of the laws. So that would just be the second one, the law of non-contradiction. The first one is the law of identity. The thing is itself. So is God himself? Is God God? Probably, I would say so. So that would be the law of identity. So he follows the first law and the second law. And the law of excluded middle is a thing cannot be like part of itself and not part of itself, or something like that. I don't remember what the exact laws are. A thing, A is A, so it is itself. It is not itself, and it can either be itself or not itself, not both. Those are the two things. So could it be God and not God at the same time?
oh yeah, no, it has to be God.
Right. So God would follow the three major laws of logic.
So okay, if you're dealing with, maybe I'm categorizing them wrong, but as far as like natural, maybe I need to categorize it as something natural. And God is supernatural, so he's outside of natural laws. Maybe that's a better way to, or I mean, I don't know if that's the same thing, but
Oh yeah,
maybe I
yeah.
need to
Natural
word it
laws would be
that way.
more like physics, gravity, that kind of thing. So it wouldn't be the same as logical laws.
Okay, I probably just explained that wrong. So yeah, so God, the kind of the formula that he wrote is how we can discover, and I'm just kind of, you know talking, but just as far as, I guess, like philosophical talk or whatever. But um so God basically made this world, and just kind of seeing if it works. God made this world, and he made the laws that allow things to work, like oxygen, you breathe in, you breathe out carbon dioxide, or yeah. So he made it to work. So God himself does not, um these laws do not, he doesn't have to abide by these laws. As a matter of fact, he's not subject under these laws because he made them. He made the reality. So if we judge a being that made, if we judge a being that made this world, and we think that he has to be subject under the same laws, then we wouldn't be able to say he's God at all anyways. It wouldn't work either way. I mean, it would have to be something outside of the laws that we operate in. That's the only way it could possibly work. And then the atheist would have to consider something outside of the laws of nature in order to even figure that out. Because if you don't even consider that, then there's no way in the world you'll ever figure out. I mean, unless some miracle, there's no way in the world you would ever find out that there's a God.
I sort of agree there. So I think that there has to be some fundamental structure of reality, and that fundamental structure of reality has to govern everything. So like our universe began at the Big Bang, and that's where space, time, and matter came into existence. So there has to be something outside of space, time, and matter. And I think that was a quantum field. So I think that the consensus in physics right now is that space and time are emergent from some more fundamental field in physics. It's a quantum field of some kind. And I think that that's the best explanation for what created the universe and everything else in the natural world. But I think that that thing has always existed, kind of like how you would say God probably always existed. And so it's whatever that is, it's outside of space and time, but I don't think it has a mind. I think it's just a field, a fundamental force in physics without any consciousness. And that is what created the universe and the laws of physics that we see around us. And to me, I think that's a better explanation because it has a lot of evidence in physics. Like the evidence for the quantum fields comes from the Casimir effect, which is demonstrated in a lab. We can observe it, and the measurement observations of the cosmic microwave background radiation that indicates goose early universe inflation. So those two things, the Casimir effect and goose early universe inflation, when you add them together, you get the origin of the universe through quantum wave fluctuations. And so because both of those have been demonstrated to have parts that exist that we can know exist in reality, that to me is a better explanation than one that we don't have any evidence of the parts. So like God would be omniscient, omnibenevolent, omnipotent, all powerful, all good, all of those different things, but we don't have any evidence for any of those properties, but we do have evidence for the quantum field properties. So I think the quantum field is a better explanation because it's always better to use an explanation that is only built on parts that we have evidence for rather than adding in something we don't have evidence for. Like if I said leprechaun, that would be a bad explanation because there's no evidence of leprechauns.
Okay, so it sounds to me, if we bring it to layman's terms, that it's kind of like a mindless, well,
Yep.
I'm forcing these words, but like a mindless God.
Sort of, yeah. So it would have a lot of the properties of God, but it wouldn't have a mind. So that's very accurate. Yes.
Okay, so it seems like the better explanation in what you're saying is all of the other attributes. I mean, without the personality and stuff, and without the mind.
Yeah, so I'd say it's two of the attributes, just the eternal and all powerful. Those are the only two you need.
That's interesting. I haven't really heard of a quantum field. Okay, so I mean, I don't know if you have like a certain direction you're going in, but as far as that, um, I guess it would just come down to the 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 seeking to see if there is a mind. Because if we assume that that's it, it can be kind of scary not knowing what randomness could possibly happen. Um, and then how would we go about fitting that? It's almost like it would just be going back to a place of it would just be a place of not knowing.
Not
It's
knowing
like
what.
there's no, it just seems like in that approach, there's no way you could possibly know. Like
No,
that,
no what?
it's like, okay, like all we can go off of from that explanation without having some creator, some mind reveal things to us, um, it kind of makes everything else meaningless.
How so?
It takes the meaning out of so much because first of all, if we're here for a temporary time, then our life is kind of like a tease, you know. And I really, honestly, I just like if it. Let's say this. I'll give you this. If that were true, there wouldn't be any benefit of me believing it.
Probably, but I don't think that that makes a difference. Like, I don't think that something is moral because it has some kind of eternal afterlife. So I think that if you do something good, like save a person's life, that is a good thing, even if you don't last forever. So to me, I think something is moral and something has meaning, even if it's short term, even if you only live for 100 years, you still have meaning, you still have purpose, you still have morality. I don't think you need to live forever to have your actions have a meaning and purpose to them.
I think it definitely changes the weight of it. I'll say, yeah, you know, if we save a person's life and then, you know, the next day somebody, you know, murders them, um, your actions are still valuable. But if we all cease to exist today, if we knew that we were going to cease to exist in the next hour, a lot more things would be meaningless to us.
Sure, but I don't understand why that
I'm just
matters to like the truth.
I'm
So
just trying
like,
to count the value, the moral. It okay. Yeah, the morals. Uh, the only thing I would say about the difference in the morals would be like I could be a morally good person and say something to, you know, help your feelings or to let you, you know, have success temporarily on this earth. But if there is a heaven and I say something to, you know, bring you there for eternity that may not have you in the best place on earth, I would say that's even more moral because that's more care if I care about you eternally is you know, instead of temporarily. Even if there's no heaven, the mindset is still the same. Um, but yeah, I mean, obviously, if you break it down to just the actions and the intentions, yeah, the morals are the same.
yeah, yeah. So I would agree that if we could live forever, that would be better. That would be a better universe. But I don't think that would make it more likely to be true. So like, there's lots of things that could make the universe better. Like it'd be better if I had $1 billion in my bank account, but obviously that's not the case. It's not the case that I have, unfortunately. And so the fact that it would be nice if we had an eternal afterlife doesn't mean that that's evidence that it's true. And so it wouldn't lend weight to God as being a more evidentially supported hypothesis. It would just be, it would be nice to have an eternal afterlife, which I agree. And there are many non-God worldviews that have that, like the Bhagavad Gita, the Hindu and Vishnu texts. There's the Brahman, the just field of goodness or whatever, and same with Buddhism. So you can have an afterlife without a God, but I don't think whether or not we have an afterlife adds evidence simply because it's more, it would make us happier one way or the other of which is more true.
Okay, that's just that's just something I've never thought about a heaven without a God. You know, eternal happiness without a God. Here's the thing, um, like the heaven existing and us going there and being there for eternity and being happy. That's not really, you know, obviously my reason for believing it or putting my complete total trust in it. Um, but it sounds so amazing. Like, okay, like if I grew up in a different group or a different religion or whatever, whatever they promise me, say, you're going to have 30 virgins or whatever, if it sounds great enough to me, I'm going to, if option B is better than option A, I'm going to figure out if option A is true because I want to know. But if there's a chance option B is true, I'm going to get a little crazy to figure that out, whatever it takes, because, in my finite mind, I only have so much knowledge and so much I can do. So that's honestly, that just seems like the biggest difference, because I said, wow, that sounds so nice. I'm going to figure that out in ways that it may not seem possible, but I'm going to at least give it a shot. Like if you could have $1 billion and somebody told you, you just have to, get on a plane and, you know, fly to Mars, obviously you're like, that sounds crazy, but what do? You build a rocket ship and you fly that to Mars. So it's like nobody can do that yet. So you say, I'm going to try this out. And then there's a possibility from your lack of knowledge that you could accomplish this. Maybe what we call natural laws, you couldn't do it. But obviously, if somebody is promising you this money and they have a contract Mars, and we know, oh no, there's no way to get to Mars, that's going to put some type of thought process. It's going to change something, possibly. You know what? Let me think differently outside of what everyone else has told me. And it can begin to rewire your brain to find things that people thought were impossible. And that's kind of how I think about it. If there is something supernatural out there, if it's possible, all of these movies, with this magic and these supernatural things, like all of that came from just some random thought from somebody one day. That's the part that's just so hard for me to believe. And I'm separating my experience, from what I'm saying, because obviously, that is the confirmation. But I just feel like that to me has just, I mean, I've listened to, when I was growing up, I listened to Jacqueline Glenn. I was like, oh my gosh, she's just making so much sense. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, and that's honestly, she's probably like the first person that really made me think, like, yo, there might not be a God. Dang, that's just gonna suck, like, because my whole life has been dependent upon, this amazing thing. But I had to sit there and be like, yo, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm kind of like, if I'm talking to a Trinitarian, I'm ready to accept and go to your church if I have to. Jehovah's Witness, I've been to the Kingdom Hall. I'm like, yo, if you tell me that this is real and you prove it to me, I'm ready to leave my church. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. Like, it's just the atheist thing. The only, like, if I didn't have this experience, and I know, like, you've probably heard so many people say this, but it's just the fact that I've talked to so many atheists that just say there's no reason for me to even look in that direction, because it's just it just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that we should always investigate any possibility. So I'm a big on science guy. And so if any hypothesis makes testable predictions and they can be confirmed, I consider that evidence for the hypothesis. So, for example, one of the religions that I think has the best evidence is Hinduism, because in the Bhagavad Gita, it predicts the age of the earth is 4.3 billion years old. That's very, very accurate. It's like 95% accurate. And so because they were able to predict the age of the earth 6,000 years ago, back when the Bhagavad Gita was written, before anybody knew anything about science, I think that's a really good piece of evidence. And if it made lots of those, that would be really good evidence that they were correct. So I would say that it's wrong for atheists to just dismiss the possibility of the supernatural, and we should always be willing to investigate whether or not the supernatural is there. And so I think that you're right to say that atheists who do that are not really being reasonable.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So I would be, I don't know. I mean, I would guess that some people have maybe tried to, it's not even really about a church thing, but that environment can help. I'm not like, oh, if you don't go to church, you're going to hell. But it's such a, an environment that I just feel like me, I don't mind stepping in people's environments. Like it's a lot of Christians that be like, I'm not talking to no atheists. What? That's crazy. So I'm willing to, like, if they're, I know they've had like some congregations of atheists who've had like certain meetings. I don't know what it's called, but like I definitely would not mind hearing. I look at the videos and everything. So I just don't know. Has there ever been like, I would guess there has, but like an atheist that's like sought after God in a not like a scientific way, you know, in the way that is gonna seem kind of embarrassing. Um, it's like, would you say that? And you have to bear with me on the wording. Like, if would you have a kind of a craziness for truth, or is it just kind of like calm and collect and let me just look at it like not really too like I'm just kind of desperate for it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if you would how you would describe yourself.
I would probably not say I'm crazy for truth. I think that I'm more crazy for happiness. Like there are some things I think it's okay to believe things even if they're not true if they make you happy. So I don't think you need to believe all true things or that you should only believe in all true things. I think it's perfectly fine to go beyond the evidence and believe things that makes you happy, even though there's not like really good evidence for it and that it's scientifically supported or whatever. But I agree with you. Like I go to churches quite often. I'd like to start an atheist church, and there are a few of those. So I know there are lots of atheists who have genuinely sought after God and researched quite a bit. Bart Ehrman, famous atheist historian, did that for many, many years. He was such a impassioned Christian that he wanted to know everything about the Bible, and so he studied into the origins of the text and learned like 6 different languages to be able to read all the different texts, the Greek and the Aramaic and the Hebrew. And after researching the origin of the Bible, he lost his faith because he was so disillusioned by the origins of the Bible and saw that it was so human that he lost his faith. And that's the story of most atheists. Most atheists, especially in America, were devout Christians, and they lost their faith because when researching and trying to find God, they weren't able to. So I think that many atheists were genuinely searching in the way that you are talking about, crazy for truth in that way, but they just didn't find him. And so that's, I think, the reason they're atheists.
Mm. And I also was gonna say, as far as the Bible goes, I believe it to be 100% true, but I don't like, I wouldn't stand up and, die on that hill just yet. So when it comes to like conversations like these, like I can only go so far into like, proving that the Bible is true. Like yeah, I don't have that type of experience with it to be able to make claims like that. But as far as God, yeah, that would be the biggest thing. Um, like obviously, you could kind of write the experiences. Everyone has certain experiences that can be explained in different ways. So that is something that's you know like even like if someone said like Ashley, I just think it's this and that, I'm not gonna get offended, but I just kind of know what it was. But what was I gonna say? The the point that was making some point about, okay, yeah. So I think it would end up coming down to, if somehow God were not real, and like you said, like if this was more not planned, if everything just kind of didn't have a plan and a purpose and a reason why, and then I don't think that believing in that would even benefit me. I think that it would be more beneficial for me to believe in a God because, to believe that eventually we're not going to exist. Like, okay, let's say that that is a fact, right? That there is no eternal life afterwards. Um, and we just, everyone knows that there's nothing afterwards. Let's say everybody agrees. You know, everybody would live a lot differently. In my opinion, I think people would live worse, but that's probably debatable. But I just feel like when it comes down to it, there's no, it has to be a lot worse to believe that we just cease to exist and it doesn't keep going. It's like your favorite show just ends and there's no season coming after. Like that feeling alone on a small scale, I just don't see how someone wouldn't like. Well, I'm gonna, well, not even that. Like I don't see how there could be any benefit in me believing that. Like if it was a fact and we could prove it, all right, cool. But if we can't prove without a shadow of a doubt either A or B, then I can only go to what's going to benefit me the most with my, like you said, my happiness. Some people just want a little more freedom and not to feel ruled by a God who's telling us what to do, and that makes them happier. And I understand that, but it's just the eternal thing that outweighs it for me.
Yeah, I can totally understand that. I think that belief in an afterlife does give people a lot of emotional comfort, and that definitely helps them. I don't think people would live their lives that much differently, though, because there are lots of countries that are majority atheists, and they have very similar lifestyles, very similar quality of life, happiness level. Many of them are happier in many ways, and less crime, less violence, because if you think this is your only life, you will value it a lot more than if you think you have an eternity after this life. So if someone thinks that this life is it, they're going to cherish it and protect it to a much higher degree than if they're not as worried about it because they're going to have an infinite afterlife. And so I think that if you see this life is all that there is, then that can give an elevated value to the life that you have here on earth. Whereas if you believe in an afterlife, then that person won't value it as much as somebody who thinks this is all there is.
That makes a lot of sense. I'm not gonna lie, that does make a lot of sense. Um, yeah, because I've seen a lot of Christians literate, and I'm like, y'all some messed up people, bro. But yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. I think there was one disagreement I had about that though. Like the overall, yeah, um that's definitely true in a lot of ways. There was just one thing that I was thinking about when you said that. It was like, okay, you said, you're gonna cherish it more. Um, yeah, I guess I was thinking more in the mindset like, um, if yeah, yeah. I was gonna say if you're gonna die and you're not gonna have anything else, then you're probably just gonna not care as much. But no, that makes sense. I think you would care more about this earth if that's all you had. Then yes, definitely. I think you're right.
Yeah, and
That
a
makes
lot of
sense.
the secular organizations bear that out because they do a lot of humanitarian work. Like most of the atheist organizations that I know about are devoted to humanitarian work. One of the things I'm working on is trying to start an atheist church to lower the cost of living for as many people as possible. So we're going to buy an apartment building and keep rent as low as possible because we're not going to be taxed and we're not going to pay our owners very much money. So we'll be able to lower rent for people. And so because we value the life that we have, which is very short, we want to cherish that and to give people as much opportunity to enjoy the life that they have as possible. And so you see a lot of atheist organizations doing a lot of charity work. And so I think that because we see this life as all there is, we do a lot of work to try and benefit the lives of as many people as possible. In a lot of ways, Christians don't. Christians do a lot of good work too, but I think that up and coming as atheism gains in popularity. We're going to see a very huge increase in the amount of humanitarian work done by atheists, like we have in other countries around the world.
I'm glad you said that, because that definitely brings a perspective that I have like really never thought about. You know, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Um, I did have a question about like morality, and I taught atheists I can never word it right. I don't I don't know how to word it. I mean, I just feel like, they kind of weigh on me to give the definition of, okay, objective evil, right? They kind of weigh on me. I don't know how long this is supposed to go. Is it like an hour or something?
That's the scheduled time, but I can keep going longer if you want. Like I don't have a fixed time.
Okay. I'm thinking, maybe an hour will be pretty decent.
Sure.
Um but I have one question about, like, okay, objective evil. Like, when I ask this question, like, is objective evil real? The first question is, what do you mean by objective evil? And then when they ask that question, I'm thinking, okay, I feel like that makes it subjective again. So that kind of tells me that it's not real. So I don't know if I'm like misunderstanding the points when people ask me this, but I asked, like, is like, if I stab somebody and I have, let's say I stab somebody because they stepped on my shoe. So in my mind, I have probable cause. Like, would that be something that is objectively evil? Or would that just be, do we all have our own subjective evil and we just make the best of what we can?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I'm a moral realist. A moral realist is somebody who believes morality is objective. So I agree with the Christian perspective that, yes, there are morally objective statements and morally objective true statements and immoral objective true statements. So if you kill somebody, that's immoral. If you save somebody, that's moral. And I think that's objectively true, which means it's true independent of opinion. Nobody's opinion changes the fact. Like you could say it's objectively the fact that the moon is 255,000 kilometers away. And that's true no matter what anybody thinks. Nobody's opinion gets to change it. It's just a fact. So it's an objective fact. And I think moral truths are kind of like that, where they're true independent of anybody's opinion. So it's not based on society. It's not based on our subjective inclinations. It's based on some fact about reality. And that's the majority position among philosophers. So most philosophers are atheists, about 70%, and most philosophers believe in moral realism, about 65%. So most popular atheists, like on YouTube and Facebook, they don't really believe in objective morality, but most academic atheists do believe in objective morality. And so when they ask what is morality, they want to know, like, what is it made of? What is morality made of, essentially? So I usually say it's like a higher order emergent property or like an unknown law of physics. Those are the kind of things I lean towards. They're called moral naturalism is the philosophical position. In the Christian case, they usually say the nature of God is the grounds of morality or something along that line. So when they're asking what is morality, they want to know what is morality made of. And so if it's like made of God's nature or made of a law of nature or made of higher order emergent property, that would be the answer they're kind of looking for.
So you said, your understanding is you said it's an unknown what?
Law of nature. So it's kind of like gravity or electromagnetism. It's a thing in nature, like a field that already exists throughout the universe.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Like gravity. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so, but as far as like, you know, proving that something is moral or isn't moral, obviously, we have some cheat code. We can just say, well, God says it's wrong, so it's wrong. But I don't know exactly how. I guess you would just try to, I don't know. I feel like the best thing you could do was kind of reach into somebody else and get them to resonate with you. Like, I'm trying to figure out how you would even go about like objectively proving that.
Oh yeah, so we can't prove it yet because it's an unsolved problem in philosophy. If somebody proves objective morality, they're going to win a Nobel Prize and get $1 million. So it's not solved yet. But the way we try to do it is that we look at the evidence of morality, which is our moral intuitions and moral progress. So our moral intuitions, like if you see somebody punch a baby, you feel like that's wrong. They should not have done that. That's evil.
Yeah,
See somebody help an
it's
old
messed
lady
up.
across the street, that's moral. And we try to plot out all the different things that we feel by using moral dilemmas and moral paradoxes. Like the trolley problem is a good one. It says that if a trolley is barreling down the tracks uncontrollably, the brakes go out and it's going to hit 5 people. There's 5 people on track A and it's going to kill them all. You are at a switch and you could change the trolley to a different track, track B, and it'll kill 1 person. Should you pull the switch? And most people say, yeah, you should pull the switch and sacrifice the 1 person to save the 5. And this is a kind of moral dilemma that we talk about to try and build principles of what we understand morality to be and see if this is a consistent thing throughout all cultures, throughout all time. Do they give the same answer? Do they have the same moral intuitions? And we've actually found out that morality has changed over time. There's a pattern to the way it's changed in cultures, which is that as we gain in technology and intelligence, we tend to see the scope of morality increasing. So as we gain in technology and have more access to resources, we tend to think that people should have more rights than they did when we had less resources, which is why we get things like women's rights, voting rights, ending slavery, LGBTQ rights, veganism. Veganism is a great example that once we gain enough resources to not need to kill animals, it'll be seen by most people immoral to kill animals. And so because this pattern is pretty consistent throughout cultures and everywhere in the world, we can infer that this is something more than just a societal thing. This pattern indicates something more fundamental. And so if we can describe what this pattern is with a principle, then that would be a good way to try to assess with this equation or this principle which actions are right and which actions are wrong. So I think the principle is that the best world, the best possible world, would be one where it would be impossible to force anybody to do anything they don't consent to doing. That would be the morally perfect world. So I think that using that as a model we can use to try to assess what is moral and immoral, and we should do everything we can to maximize people's consent given our limitations. So obviously if somebody's like trying to shoot you and you have to stop them, you have to use force to stop them. So even though it's a violation of their consent, it's justified because given our limitations, there's no way to do that without harming them.
I tell you, man, that's really interesting, bro. Like I'm intrigued by this conversation. Like because okay, so it seems like the model is to kind of go off of kind of what has worked down through history. Man, it's still like there's something, yeah. It's like obviously where we put God in a blank, it always seems like I guess that makes sense. It's like a different perspective. Like we would say, oh, well, this is God, so you don't know. You're just saying you don't know. But then what you would say every time we say we don't know something, you just want to throw God in there. So it's like it's crazy, man. Like I like understanding people. I don't like to like, oh no, man. Like, no, I'm not trying to, win nothing. But I just like this conversation. But
Yeah, I'm enjoying it too. It's really pleasant talking with you.
yeah, man, I never thought about it in a sense of like, the finding that pattern, you know. But yeah, man, that's crazy. I feel like there was something else that I was gonna ask. What was it? It was I don't know. I'm running out of stuff. Okay, like have you ever like debated like you get in debates with? Do you get in debates with atheists?
Yes, all the time.
Because I would think that you would, because the atheists I talk to, they don't sound like you. I mean, I look on YouTube, obviously, you see William Lake Craig versus, I'm just like, nah, man, no. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I debate with atheists all the time, especially on morality and other topics like that. It's most atheists don't agree on things. We disagree on a lot of things, especially politically. So I have done a number of debates against atheists. I think I did one week ago against, who was it? Infidel, something infidel. Mouthy Infidel is the name he goes by. He's an atheist, and we discussed it. Also done it with a few atheist professors. So like Alex Malpass, I've talked with him. Walter Block, he's an atheist libertarian. Talked with him. So yeah, I go debate atheists all the time.
Yeah, I was on. Yeah, my mind keeps drawing blanks. I was gonna say that you have like a. Your. I feel like your perspective is more honest. I feel like that's where we're like we're very similar. I just feel like that main difference is like I'm kind of crazy about it. Not to say that you're like, because obviously you do this for a living too, or you do this like this is what you do. Um, so it's like the passion is kind of not like I wouldn't be so fast so quick to say it's at a different level, but it's definitely different. It's like a different type of passion.
Sure.
Like you'll read all the books. Probably I'm just assuming stuff off of what you're saying. But I will literally go in the middle of the woods in the darkness and see if God speaks to me. Fear and all. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just a different like method.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that the method that I have constructed or that I use is I start with it's my epistemology, or how I know things. I start with my own experience. So cogito ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. So the first thing I can know for certain is that I exist. And then after that, I can say there's some difference between my imagination and my reality around me. Like I can imagine a unicorn, I don't see a unicorn. There's clearly two different things here. And I need some way to differentiate which ones are the real things and which ones are the imaginary ones. And the way I do that is with novel testable predictions about the future. So if I have a model that can accurately predict the future and do it successfully, that's a good reason to believe that that model describes reality and not just my imagination, because my imagination is really bad at predicting the future. Can't do that very well. So, and the method that I found that does that the best is science. Science seems to be able to do that very, very well. So for any experience I have or testimony I'm given, I put it through that same method. Can it differentiate itself from being just an imaginary thing versus a real thing? And if it can tell us something about the future, give us novel testable predictions, that's a really good reason to believe it's a real thing. But I haven't seen any of those for like the existence of a God. And so that's why I don't believe, because in the methodology I use, it requires you to be able to differentiate imaginary things from real things. And I haven't been provided that kind of evidence for a God.
Would you have see that's the thing I would just say that's like I don't think there's any way to really get like a solid evidence in that way. I don't even think that's possible, honestly. It's like this, like if you have a purple shirt on, I don't know if it's purple or blue, I can't really tell through the camera, but if you have a purple shirt on and then or like, okay, I got glasses and you tell me and I say, hey, can you prove to me that I have glasses on right now? It's like, are you going to be able to do that?
I think I would.
It's a different mindset I got. I mean, because I'm talking about I put these on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So for me, I think there is a way. Like for example, I could give you an eye test. For example, I could say take off the glasses and try to read this, and I could then say put on the glasses and try to read this. And so I can say that when you seem to have the glasses on, there is some phenomenal difference in what kind of reactions you give to sense data. And with that, I can't prove it with 100% certainty that you have glasses on, but I can give good evidence to say that, yes, you probably do have glasses on. So in the case of a God, I could say that if you could pray to a God and have amputee's arms regrow, or have him separate the waters in the ocean or something, or if just for a gold brick, say, God, please give me a gold brick, and a gold brick appears in front of you. That would be great evidence, because that would be predicting something in the future. If God exists and I pray to him, a gold brick will appear in front of me. I pray to God, and then a gold brick appears. That's predicting the future. You've said, if God exists, here's a method, an experiment we can do, and here's the result we would expect to see. Do the experiment, see the result, great evidence. So there are ways to indicate God if he answered prayers, or if certain tests and certain religious doctrines of many different religions say if you do some certain method, God will do something or have some impact on your life. Like there's one, I think, in the Bible where it says if you put cloth in water, soak it in water, and then pray to God, he'll burst it into flames or something. I think it's in Ezekiel where that one is. And so if those happened, those would be great evidence. Or if the Bible said things like the universe began to exist 13.8 billion years ago, or DNA is a double helix, or the great extinction happened 500,000 years ago. If it gave specific facts about the world that we can discover later, before anybody at the time period knew them, all of those things would be really good evidence for God. So I think it is definitely possible to provide evidence for a God. I just don't think I've found any of that kind.
I think the part that you said at the end would be better for proving the Bible it was written in accuracy or more true. But I think the stuff you said at the beginning is more for God. Because, you know, if the people who wrote the Bible made it, well, yeah, because okay, are you saying that could prove that God gave them the revelation of it, so
Yeah.
therefore, oh, okay, I
Because yeah,
understand what you're
if it said like DNA is a double helix 6,000 years ago, and they had absolutely no way to look at DNA, they had no
Right,
microscopes, that would be good evidence that
right,
they got information from something that has like a greater knowledge source.
okay. I like that you said, you know, that you were speaking about patterns, because that would be now. Let's say, you know, like a gold brick popping in my hand, like obviously, like okay, somebody's doing this, and this is not natural, you know. So, boom, something's different. It could be multiple gods up there. Something happened, you know. But let's say it's like on a smaller scale, like how you view morality, and there's patterns, and you kind of view the patterns to kind of sense, engage, like you know, find the best explanation of what we should go by. You know, that to me is how I view God also. Like, you know, you say you pray for things and, you know, it can get a little tricky, but like through a certain amount of experience, I have like prayed for certain things and sometimes they don't happen. Um, Sometimes they do, and it's kind of in a very strange way. And it's tricky because there's so many coincidences in the world and things that happen, but sometimes like let me see, there's certain if I could think of like okay, well, this is something that you know I can't really. I was there, but I wasn't there, and I'll explain what I mean. I had seizures until I was 4, and you know my dad tells me, you know, I brought you up in the church. I brought you to the church. We prayed for you. You never had another seizure again. Um, so that type of stuff I've seen, like not just me, like I've seen that happen to other people. That's why it's like, let's say that God only wants those who really want him. And that's the only people that he's accepting. Yeah, it can sound immoral, but if he wrote the morals, then there's no way anybody can really disprove it. But let's say he only wants those who really love him, who really want him, who really want to find out if he's real and not just by their words. You know, so he's not going to show certain people things or allow them to see it. Like my vision could be healed, you know, and an atheist could come in and see like, you know, just not believe it. You know, it's possible. Um, so in that type of perspective, you could you could have a God that only wants, and this is kind of how the Bible describes him to be. He only wants those who seek to see if he is real. Um, and with my experience and the way that I've you know kind of studied you know the patterns in my life, it's just certain things that happen even at my church and things like that, that I'm just like, okay, this, not even at that moment does this prove that God is real, but this is more evidence in my, in my box. So it's like over time, I've just kind of got the box full now. So I'm like, yo, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that
It's a
if
mouthful, but
I think that if, for example, if praying to God and the Christian God specifically, more people were healed of epilepsy or cancer or whatever, then that would be great evidence of a God. So if, for example, people pray to all kinds of gods, Vishnu and Brahma and Thor and Zeus, people pray in every different culture for gods to help them. And we can measure how often do people get cured of things. And if it was more often that they were cured in one religion, say Christianity, than any other religion, then that would be evidence of Christianity. That would say that the rate people are cured when they pray to God or the Christian God, Yahweh, would be higher than the rate they're cured if they pray to Brahman or whatever. And so that would be more evidence to Christianity than to Brahma. But when we do those studies, there have been a number of prayer studies done by really big Christian organizations, the Templeton Foundation, really huge Christian billion-dollar national organization. And they've done about 6 of these prayer studies. They find that the rate people are healed is the same across all religions, and including atheists who don't pray. So I would agree that those experiences would be really good evidence if it happened for mostly Christians or at a higher rate for Christians. But when we measure those out, it seems to be like a natural phenomenon that happens all over the world, where it's called spontaneous remission, where every kind of disease has a certain rate at which it stops in people, and we have no idea why. Some people are cured of cancer, and we thought they were going to die. We have no idea why. Some people are cured of all kinds of things, and we don't know the reason. We just know that there's some facet of biology that it can do things that we don't understand yet, and it happens all over the world. So I think that that would be great evidence. And from your personal experience, that would be a good reason for you to believe, because in your life, it's happened more in the context of Christianity than any other context. But if we look at the global data, it seems like that it's about the same as every other religion, and about the same as the people who don't pray. And for me, that makes it hard to accept that as evidence for a God.
mm, yeah, man, you say some real interesting stuff, bro. I'm gonna have to. I gotta subscribe to your channel.
Thank you. You said you were in Atlanta, Georgia, right? I'm actually going to be there in 2 weeks there's a big American Atheist Conference is happening there, which is really cool.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'd love
What
to.
day?
It's the
Day is it on?
14th to the 18th, I believe.
Oh, okay, cool.
So yeah,
Hey,
I'd love to
man,
get drinks
yeah.
sometime, get coffee, maybe do a conversation at your church. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, bro, definitely, man. I would love to, meet up and talk, bro. That sounds real cool.
Awesome.
I was gonna ask you one more question. Like, where do you think the idea? I mean, this is a big question, but where do you like, if you have any idea where the thought of God even came from? Because most of them I think about the color blue because I've seen it. You know, so where do you think like the thought of God even came from? Like the
Yeah,
traits. How did we even? Yeah.
yeah, for sure. That's a good question. My understanding is that in evolutionary psychology, there's this thing called type 1 and type 2 errors, whereas if you hear a rustle in the bushes, imagine we lived like 200,000 years ago or whatever. There's a tribe and we're hanging out at the campfire and we hear a rustle in the grass to the left. And when we look over, we don't see anything. The people who thought it was a lion, who was like, it's a lion, we have to run away, or it's a demon and we have to run away, they always survived, because if it was a lion and they didn't move, they'd get eaten. And so the people who are more like scientifically minded and are like, I'm going to wait for more evidence and not run away, those were the people who got eaten, because they needed more evidence. And so the kind of people who survived were the ones who always thought it was a lion and always ran away. And because of that, we've evolved with this hyperactive agency detection system where we think there's agency in everything. It's like if you watch a scary movie and the lights are off, you think, oh, there's a dark corner, there's probably an alien in it. And you get that sensation in you. It's scary, even though you know there's no aliens. That's completely ridiculous. If this is a movie, you still get that feeling deep down inside. Same as when you're a kid, you think there's a monster under the bed, or when you get afraid of weird noises at night. Humans have this innate built hyperactive agency detection system where we think that any noise we hear has to be some agency, some evil force that we need to be afraid of, because that sensation gave us a survivability metric that we run away from anything we don't understand. And that's where this idea of God came from. So anything we didn't understand, like what caused the volcano to erupt, or what caused the earthquake or the tsunami or anything we just couldn't explain, we thought it was a mind. It was an evil mind, someone who didn't like us or didn't want us to survive. And we attributed that to higher beings. We ended up calling them gods eventually. So I think that the origin of the idea of gods came from this hyperactive agency detection, where we would see an event and not know what caused it, like a hurricane, because obviously it wasn't a lion who caused a hurricane. There's this big rustle in the nature, and we've never seen it before. Or a comet, we've never seen a comet before. No way how we could explain that. Or the moon passes in front of the sun, blocks out all the light, totally freaks us out. And we interpret that as being, oh, it must be some kind of a mind that did that, because we have this hyperactive agency detection system. And I think that's where the idea of God came from.
Okay. Sounds interesting, man. Yeah, bro. I'm definitely I'm gonna have to do some stuff, but yeah, bro, that was a cool conversation, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your name again?
TJump. So my YouTube name is TJump. It's just Tom Jump. It's my actual name.
Okay. Usually that's how it is. I start talking to people for like hours and I'm like, oh yeah, bro, what's your name?
Yeah.
So we don't introduce people in this day and age.
Yeah.
Just start talking.
But yeah, I really enjoyed having you on. It was a great conversation. Do you want to give a shout out to where people can find your channel and information, if they want to check out your stuff?
Oh yeah, it's literally just Ashlee Keyton. So the word just, I'm not just saying justice in there. So just Ashlee Keyton. You can follow me there. Yeah, Instagram, everything is Ashlee Keyton. I got some music that I'm doing to promote. I mean, maybe not to your viewers, but it's got a nice sound. Y'all can listen to it.
Awesome. Thanks again for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You can just close the screen whenever you want. I'm going to start the after show because I usually talk with my viewers and things afterwards. But then thanks again. And I'll send you an email, see if we can get coffee sometime when I'm down there.
Oh yeah, definitely, bro. All right, man. Have a good one.
See you later. Hello, people on the chat. Thank you, Chris, for the super chat. Appreciate it. Check out politics. See if there's anybody on my politics server. War room, FaceTime, religion, vegan, TJump. Nobody's in TJump server. Anyone want to hang out in the Discord? http:/discord.io/TJump. Pin message. Let's go here. Check out my other one too. Politics, religion and politics. Do I have anything here? Nope, nobody here either. What's up?
Not much. TJump just got done with his show.
Yeah, I was watching him talk to Ashlee. Was that his name?
Ashlee Keyton. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice guy.
He was a very nice guy. I always like it when people get lost and they're questioning, because it means they're trying to consider what you said while they're talking to you. That's what all that was.
Yeah.
You can recognize honest people like that a lot. How long were you talking to him for? About an hour or more?
Yep. About an hour.
You're gonna spend a couple of weeks. You're gonna go down to Georgia. How long are you hanging down there?
4 days, I think. The American Atheist Conference is from the 14th to the 17th, I think.
I've never been to Atlanta, but my understanding is it's pretty cool.
I hope so. I mean,
Nice place.
yeah, I'm hoping to start promoting my atheist church idea to big atheist organizations. I just got an appointment to present it to the Minnesota Atheist, which is really cool. So
Nice.
I'm making a presentation to try and promote my idea, because I'd like $4 to $10 million worth of support, which is a very big number. But
Do you need us to pitch in some donations for some robes for you or something?
some robes, yes, robes would be great. I think we're gonna go without clothes until we get the apartment building. So we're gonna go
We're
clothes.
just gonna go nude until we
Yep.
get the apartment
Commando.
Oh yeah, you won't seem crazy at all, Tom.
Yep. So, but my goal is going to be to, because there's a big organization in Minnesota that does, housing. They buy apartment buildings and keep them at low income for people, which is essentially exactly what I want to do. And they offer grants, so I can get a large grant from them, which is going to be really cool. I just need enough backing and a syndicate of backing large atheist organizations to be willing to support it. Your mic is breaking
Okay.
up, Japanese character guy.
Demiru, you there? There you go.
Have I considered debating Bishop Robert Barron? Yes, I've emailed him several times, but he either didn't email back or declined. I don't remember which one. So yes, Cafe, I have emailed Bishop Robert Barron. I think he agreed to Cosmic Skeptic because Cosmic Skeptic is huge. He's got 500 times the subscribers I do. Hopefully I'll get there. Hopefully I'll get there with my atheist
Okay.
church. Get to 1 million subs. That'll be awesome.
Wasn't Cosmic like the one with the nice British accent? It always makes it easier to get
Yeah.
followers, right?
Yep.
You should try it sometime, Tom.
I also need like boobs.
I mean, neither of those would hurt. I mean, Fef could just draw you some.
Yeah.
I mean, Ziz was trying to get you a hot tub for your streams.
What? I'll accept a hot tub, a donation of
Stream
hot tub.
from a hot tub.
That works. We'll do
Just-
that.
Pink hair, hot tub,
The chair is going to be in the hot tub with me.
in the hot tub. You're gonna have to put some sort of like plastic cover over your keyboard. Get out all pruny from your 2-hour show.
Kenny Diamond asks if I'm taking a chick to Georgia. No, I'm not taking a chick to Georgia. I got dumped last week, which makes me sad, kind of, but I'm not doing too bad. But I'm going to go to the Atheist Experience. No, American Atheist, Georgia. Yes, Pokerman had a great idea. He said make flags that look exactly like the Trump flag. Just make them say TJump, replace the R with the J. You sell millions. It'll be great.
Pass out the red hats.
Yep. Gonna do that. That's not
Oh,
a bad idea.
You could like have you seen those stupid I did that like Biden pointing stickers that they put all over the gas stations now?
Yeah.
I figure you could do something like an I did that sticker of yourself. Sell like 1 million of those things too.
I want to
Just
put
pointing to a chair.
Yep. Do that, and with the Trump TJump instead of Trump, and put like a Obi-Wan Kenobi that says Jesus. Be hilarious. Lumifarious Ethan
I
says
think we
he
could
would
get
buy
you
a
a
TJump flag.
filibustering one.
What?
I think we could get you a filibustering theme.
Filibuster theme.
Filibustering. Yeah, like I remember Darth used to accuse you of that in the middle of him talking over you.
Yep.
Were you just live on YouTube?
Yes, I was. Just did a
Or
stream.
were you debating someone?
Is
Yeah, it was a
is
conversation.
just live on YouTube?
Is just live. Yes.
Is just live. Yes.
Yeah, I just finished a stream with Ashlee Keyton, really nice
Oh,
guy.
Ashlee Keyton. So, are you a theist now?
No. Well, I'm starting an atheist church, which has a doctrine of objective morality.
Oh, nice. Can I join?
Yep. Open to anybody.
Sick.
Goal is to buy an apartment building and decrease the rent. People who are a part of the church get first dibs on new apartments.
Sounds good to me.
I'm not sure where the best place
How are
to
you going to be able
put
to
it.
afford that?
Well, so there's a big
Yeah.
organization here in Minnesota that offers grants to places offering affordable housing and affordable apartments called the Noma something and Aon, and they just did a $77 million grant to buy a bunch of homes. So they're doing exactly the same thing. And so if I get a decent enough syndicate of nonprofits, atheist nonprofits to back me, I can get funding from them to do it.
These grants.
What? Fenton Mully, what is TJump's take on automation AI replacing much of the workforce in the future? I think that is perfect. I think it is phenomenal that we will get AGI, artificial general intelligence, to replace humans. That will be the first big step to really making socialism possible. Like, in order to really make publicly owned means of production, we're going to need AI to do all of the work and essentially give everybody a UBI, universal basic income. And the only way to do that is with AIs to do all the work. Perfect one. TJump, just design your logo so the J looks like a sticker that has been put over the R. Yeah, just make it Trump with a J sticker. Mr. Boss, how could you describe fine-tuning? Fine-tuning is the fact that if we change any of the physical constants even slightly, then life as we know it wouldn't exist. Well, work from home jobs, Pokerman suggests making work from home jobs, but I wouldn't be able to employ all of the tenants. That would be, I'd need something else. I need to have some way for them to make money for the business. Because right now the way I would make money is from the rent, but if I'm paying them the money that they use to pay the rent, I'd be losing money. So I need them to do a job that would make money for the company, and I don't know what that would be. I don't have a way to do that yet. I would like to start a bank so I can, because I'd like to replace all of the really crappy companies and stop. I'd just like to make companies that don't take advantage of people the way that most companies do. And so it's possible to do that. That's definitely the plan. But first, I would need a stable source of income that I can use to invest in bigger projects. And that's the point of the apartment buildings, that it gives a stable amount of income, which can then be used to support the church and do podcasts and debates and lectures and all those kinds of things, call-in shows. And once I have that, I can invest into bigger projects, like trying to start a bank, a credit card company, a credit score company, because God, those guys are evil. And that would definitely be the goal.
It never occurred to me to use credit card scoring companies as a source of objective evil, right? Like, this is
They
a
are.
thing that is effectively evil and exists.
Yes. It's not inherently evil, but it's evil because of the way they do it. Like, if you check your score, you lose points. How does that work? That is dumb. If you have too many credit cards, like if there's a credit card that gives you a bonus, and you and if you open the credit card account, even if you pay everything off and cancel the credit card, it damages your credit score. Like, what is that garbage? That's ridiculous. A whole bunch of stupid rules just
Yeah,
so
if you
that.
don't carry the balance.
Yes.
Yeah. If you're not actually in debt, right?
Yeah, if you
then-
don't
then your
pay the
credit score is
interest,
worse.
your score doesn't go up as much. Like your score goes up more if you actually pay interest.
Right.
Carlos Jeffries, TJump, is the whereby video call thing any good? It's what I'm using right now on my screen. Like if I just, no, that's not what I'm looking for. Move this down. Like this is whereby right here on, this is the thing I'm using. So if you just click the link, you could join and show up next to me in chat. Oh, I need to do another debate with Mango. Somebody paid for Mango to do another debate. Keep forgetting about that.
I mean, Mango's just going to end up paying for the whole church eventually, right?
Oh, I'd like that. I don't think Mango has $4 million, but it'd be cool.
How many paid debates have you gotten from him so far? Like 4?
5, I think.
It's just sad. I think he missed Colors and Shapes guy the other day. He was in the server.
I had $1 bazillion, I'd give them to TJump to be spent on the studying of living organisms. I'd take the money, that's for sure. Probably put it all into AI, though. Make the AI do all the research. I think AI is the most important technological invention of humans ever. TJump, I'm certified real estate appraiser. If you ever need consultation on the project, I'd be glad to donate my time. I'd really appreciate that for sure. Like I'm looking at apartment buildings that are 50 apartments that were brand new buildings. So built 2019, 2020 here in the Minneapolis area. I don't know if Minneapolis is a good place to put it though. Cause like I need it to be a place with a large atheist community. That's going to be key. So I have to put it somewhere with a lot of active atheists to show up to the church and give money and shit. So I might not be able to do it in Minneapolis. I don't know. But the ones I've been looking at are brand new 50 apartments, 4 to 10 million. Yeah, Austin, Texas is definitely a possibility. Or just outside of Austin, Texas, where the taxes are significantly less. Well, that doesn't matter. I'm going to be church. I don't have any taxes. Seattle's a possibility. I'd like to expand and do churches in all of them. So with the Clergy Project, who has a bunch of atheists who are pretending to be Christians and doing pastor stuff because they can't, that's the only job they have. I'd love to be able to hire them to be pastors at different churches all over the country and have them all be atheist churches where they can promote different kinds of things that the church is trying to do as what are those called? Sermons? Sunday sermons. So for the Sunday sermon, they'd essentially just do what John Oliver does and just do, here is one of the garbage things that the garbage companies in America does, and here's how we fix it. And that's what I'd want the pastors of the atheist church to be doing. Just give TED Talks and lectures on things that we can improve in the world. Come to Canada. Canada would be great. Canada's a good place to start one too. Cyprus. Probably not mostly religious in Cyprus, but I know somebody in Cyprus. Portland. Yeah. Just need to get the first one so I can start getting a regular income. And then once I get a regular income, I can expand and do more. TJump, psychedelic aficionados hold a breakthrough experience within DMT to be the ultimate convincer of God. Would you ever consider trying it, or at the very least putting on your bucket list? I've never been a big on drugs. Drugs have always made me feel worse, never better. So I'm not really a big fan of trying drugs. I mean, if I was paid enough money, I'd do it, but I don't enjoy drugs. Never have. Don't come to South Africa. I would like to expand worldwide if we can get that big, get atheist churches all over the world. That'd be awesome. The CoStar Real Estate Database, in searching for multifamily commercial properties in those areas. CoStar Real Estate Database. I can check that out. CoStar Real Estate Database. Give me a search button. Where's the search? I can't find the search. CoStar Real Estate search results. Select countries. United States. Select markets. Markets. Property type. Multifamily.
So,
What?
do you invest in crypto?
Say that again?
I said, do you invest in crypto?
I used to.
Okay.
But not right now. All right, let's hide screen capture. Hey, Piggy, how's it going?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, this is Piggy Butt.
I figured that
I
one
heard
out.
you talking to the guy about. Yeah, I heard you talking to the guy about God and him not being a real thing. I was gonna ask you. You don't kind of think your idea of what is it called? That logic is kind of a preconceived notion.
I don't know what that means.
Logic, your idea of logic. You don't know what logic is,
I know what
Hey,
logic
can you
is.
guys hear me well enough
and you
to
don't understand
understand
why I
me?
say it's a
I got
preconceived
a crappy
notion.
mic.
Logic is an idea made up by humans. I don't know what it means to be a preconceived notion. Like, logic is a language that describes reality. Yes, I can hear you. Whoever asked if I could hear them.
Yeah, it's because part of the whole logical thing, y'all kind of assume like y'all need to have no contradictions in order for it to be a logical thing, right?
Sort of, yeah. So, like, for it to follow the laws of logic, it can't have any contradictions.
Yeah. So how is that not a presupposition?
Well, presupposition is something you assume is true before you make an argument. So I'm not assuming it's true. I'm saying that can anything exist that isn't itself? And I don't think it can. So I'm not presupposing it. It just seems like if it doesn't do that, then it probably can't exist.
I could give you some examples of contradictions that exist in reality that
Okay.
people just want to ignore.
Okay, like what?
Like the fact that you could be conscious in an unconscious state. That's kind of a contradiction.
Yes, that's a contradiction. I don't think it's possible. How can you be conscious in an unconscious state?
Lucid dreaming, when people, do you agree that dreaming or the sleep state is an unconscious state?
No, you're still conscious.
Okay, then what is your definition? What is your definition of unconscious state? Because if you look
No.
up the definition of unconscious, they say sleeping.
Yeah, so consciousness in philosophy means qualia or qualia experience, which means any direct experience at all.
So then by that definition, atoms have experiences and are conscious.
No. Atoms don't have any
No.
self-experience. They don't have any direct experience of the world.
The fact that they're interacting with other atoms, that's a form of experience.
No, like experience means like direct conscious experience. So like if I see the color red, atoms don't see the color red. They don't see anything. The fact that they interact with other things doesn't mean they have conscious experience. It just means that they interact. So experience is like having a mental states where you can have representations of reality. Atoms don't do that.
So then you're unaware of what is it called? Integrated information theory then.
I am very familiar with
presume.
integrated information theory by Julian Tononi. I do know what that is. I don't think it's correct. It's a very minor theory. Like very few people take it seriously. It's not something accepted by the majority of physicists, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with consciousness being fundamental, as information being fundamental, which isn't consciousness.
Okay.
Thank you,
All right,
Scarzy. Appreciate it. Glad you
All
like
right,
my
I
book.
guess that's all I got for today. That's all I got for now. I would want to go into more stuff, but I was getting attacked in the chat, so I'm kind of thrown off right now. I can't focus. I can't.
We're gonna get the book.
My mental state's not where I want it to be right now.
That's fair. Yeah. So the best thing to do is just to turn off the chat when you're having a conversation, because yeah, chat is very toxic chat. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'll talk to you. I'll come back with more. Like literally, I'm gonna go into jury duty right now. So I had like a whole paper written out to have a conversation about this, but I am currently in court right now. So
Okay. Yeah. No problem. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye. All right. Anybody in the Discord want to say stuff? Questions, comments, potatoes. I'll put the whereby link back in the chat for anybody who wants to join in and do a one-on-one convo.
Hey, what if we do a DAO instead of a bank for the church?
Do a what?
DAO, a decentralized, autonomous exchange, whatever. I forget what it's called. But you know what I mean? Like with crypto.
How would that get us money?
Well, you're talking about, first of all, making money cheaper, right? Like lending
you
in.
mean starting a bank? It's like
yes.
Getting a mortgage. How do you get a mortgage from a DAO? Like what? So
well,
I would,
yeah.
I would definitely be for starting a cryptocurrency. So I definitely like to start like an atheist church currency, but I wouldn't. Banks are important because they're very reliable, successful methods in our economy today, which are trusted, whereas crypto is not as trusted. And so if I want something that has wide appeal and lots of people are hopefully going to use, starting with a bank is a better idea, but I wouldn't be opposed to also doing crypto.
Okay. Hey, if I pay for Mango to debate you, what do you want to debate on?
I'd let him pick. He just wants to do Christianity, but if you wanted to pay, you would get to pick. You'd like make Mango debate this topic.
Can I moderate if I pay?
Sure.
Right.
If anyone would like to join one-on-one chat with TJump, click the link in the top of the thing, the YouTube chat. Why Mango? Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know why people would want to pay for mango. Mango is like one of the worst choices, but hey, whatever floats your boat. I don't kink shame if you're into the mango thing.
Hey, TJump, like, what is your opinion on gender abolition?
I think it's silly. Like, if you don't want to refer to gender or don't think about gender, that's fine. But it's wrong to try to force other people to abolish their idea of gender because you don't like it. That's dumb. I mean, like religion abolition, like trying to abolish other
All the
people's
gender norms
ideas.
were forced on
What?
gender norms forced on people in the
No,
first hand.
no. They're just
No, okay.
useful categories, so it's not forced on anybody. It's like no one is forced to identify some people as short and some people as tall. It's just a useful categorization.
They like like how kids usually boys are made to play with like trucks and shit, and girls are forced to play with dolls. They're made to wear pink. Pink is feminine, stuff like that.
Well, they're not made to play with them. Like you can't make a baby play with the toy. So like if the baby doesn't want to play with the toy, it's just going to throw it away. So they give them a toy and they play with it. So obviously the color blue and the color pink are arbitrary, but it's a fact that boys play with trucks more and girls play with dolls more. That's a thing that's been well studied in psychology that for some reason, if even like very soon after birth, if you give a baby an option, I remember this study was, I think it was referenced by Jordan Peterson, I don't remember, but the study was actually done where they'd give babies the option between trucks and dolls, and the female babies would choose the dolls and the male babies would choose the trucks at a higher rate.
Hey, what up, man?
How's it going?
I'm good. I saw your last talk. Was it talk or debate, whatever, with Dog Dawkins, and every time he goes down his route of what's fundamental and eternal and all that kind of stuff, you keep saying reality, but I keep yelling, it's physics.
Yes. Most fundamental part of reality is physics. I would agree. But my last conversation with Darth Dawkins was like a year ago at least, I think. A long time ago.
Oh, I saw one, but I didn't check the date on it.
I think I've done 2 or 3. I don't remember, but they're my 2 most popular videos on YouTube. Wow. Javier Jara, TJump, Tom lately in conversations with Muslim apologists and some precepts use metaphysics as a jail-free card. What is supposed to happen when they invoke metaphysics as explanation? I do not know what that means. Like, metaphysics is supposed to be like either the fundamental nature of reality or the things that are beyond physics. I don't know how they're using metaphysics as a jail-free card. Get out of jail-free card, I imagine. I don't know you'd have to give like an example of the argument and how they use the counter to the argument.
Well, I'd suggest next time somebody does that stuff on you, I'd say physics instead of reality. I mean, I know physics is a part of reality, but...
Well, I like reality better because it includes things that we haven't discovered yet. So physics would just be the stuff we know about essentially, or unknown physics, but there could be things beyond that we haven't discovered yet, and that's perfectly fine. Like there could be a supernatural realm. That's fine too.
Yeah. What are you guys talking about? I mean, about the metaphysics thing. I was there in the live.
Yeah, somebody said they use metaphysics as a get out of jail free card against Muslim apologists.
Yes. I think I know what they mean, because at the beginning when I was like starting your debates and like other debates, when people use words like metaphysics, like when you hear it as a layman, you think it's like metaphysics, so it has to be beyond the physical world. Yeah. So that's how people get confused. Like I even know this one Muslim dude who like told me the contingency argument and was like, how can you use science to know the metaphysical since it's beyond the physical world? That kind of made sense, like why people get flabbergasted.
Sure.
So yeah, but yeah, I had a solid argument. If God didn't exist, we wouldn't see big butts. Big butts exist, therefore God does exist. Can you debunk that, TJump?
Yes. If God exists, Darth Dawkins would not exist. Darth Dawkins does exist, therefore God does not exist.
Okay, okay, I concede.
Holy shit.
Uh, okay, I did have a question though. Like, with the fine tuning argument, right? Like how it goes like under naturalism, life has this very small probability, right? Like
Sure.
1 in billions or something. Like, how do you argue against that? Like, how do you argue for naturalism then?
Well, we agree that there's a small variation in the laws of physics, and if any variation happened, we would not see the life that we see today. The question is why did it occur? And the answers could be random chance, like if there's a bunch of variations, multiverse or whatever, then it could just be a random chance that this universe has those set, or it could be determined, like if all the forces are entangled in such a way that any change to one will cause a proportional change to another. So it could be determined that the laws of physics have these constants. And so either of those would be natural ways to answer the question. But the argument, just the fine tune itself, doesn't indicate a God. It's just a question.
I mean,
why does these constants have these particular values?
well, I mean, they could say like God has this desire for moral agents that are gonna worship him. So like he makes like these kind of constants that allow for moral agents like us.
Sure, but that would lead to the same problem because God could have any desire. He could have desired to make a universe of only puppies or a universe of only unicorns or a universe of only black holes. So for each possible way the universe could be, there's a possible way God could be where he wants that universe instead of this one. And so you have to ask the question, how is God so finely tuned that he would make a universe exactly like this one as opposed to any of the other universes? So for each of the different ways a universe could be, that's also a way God could be. And so the fine-tuning problem isn't solved by saying...
I mean, like, okay, so I understand what you're saying, but like, in a sense, like God could be that, you can explain that with God's free will, right? God has free will that he can make universe of unicorns that are going to be morally responsible, but like, but that still like leads the probability more to God because he wants universes with moral agents.
Well, no.
But
So
with
remember I said earlier that
naturalism,
one of the options was that the laws are entangled such that they must be this way. So like just like God has a desire to create this kind of a universe, the laws could be entangled to necessarily create this kind of a universe. So just like in as a God who has a particular desire would necessarily create this universe.
yeah.
The physics who are determined in such a way would also necessarily create this universe. So as long as
Okay.
you add an extra feature that makes this particular set of laws more likely, that would increase the probability on both God and non-God hypotheses.
Okay. Oh, I had a question though. Do you believe that the constants could be different? Like we
Yes.
can both agree that like if the constants were different, then like we wouldn't exist. But do you think they could be different?
Yes, sure.
Like as in like they were free to change.
Sure, it's possible. Like I think that either is possible. It could have changed. They might be determined, but I don't see any reason to prioritize one or the other. Same with God. Like they could have changed, could have been one way, but it's just essentially random. You could pick either
Yeah.
one.
So
Um,
okay.
well, there have been things that are necessary for life that have changed. Like the oxygen content of the earth, that's changed.
I don't think that would be necessary, so I don't think that would be example of what he's
Also,
talking about.
Are you ever gonna debate Bernardo Kastrup again, the
Maybe.
idealist?
I haven't.
Bro, you should. You should. I enjoyed that debate a lot, like other people as well. So yeah.
Sure.
Mm.
Anybody else got any questions or comments before I close it out? All right. I'm going to head out, get some food. Thanks for coming to the after show, guys, in the Discord. Thanks for showing up in the live chat on YouTube. Appreciate it as always. I'm going to see you guys later.
Good job.